Hey y'all, welcome back for day 21. We are going to be bouncing around a lot today because I have a lot of little things that I need to get finished. So this is kind of going to be a smorgasbord of a bunch of different things today. I'm going to try to get all of these outlets in today. And there's one outlet right here. This is pretty much the only outlet that is in this entire kitchen, which is a little crazy to me if you think about it, other than the outlet for the stove, but that is on its own breaker. And so you can't really plug anything else into that. So this outlet right here was just a normal outlet. I am going to turn it into a USB outlet in case they want to charge their phone here. But in order to do that, I needed to put in a box, which is what I just did. And the box is mandatory because the other outlets that are in RVs are self-contained, which means all of the wires are pretty much self-contained in the outlet itself. But the USB outlets are not self-contained, so that's why I had to install one of these boxes right here. And if you're curious as to what these are called, these are 1-gang PVC old work electrical switch and outlet boxes. They have little like wings on the top and the bottom. That way when you tighten the screw, it basically flips that wing up and it tightens it into whatever wood or whatever support you have for it. So now that that box is installed, I can go ahead and install this outlet. Pretty simple process here. The ground goes to the green, and the ground is going to be the copper wire here. And I do have 2 wires, so I do twist my ground and make it 1 ground. And then there is 2 white wires, which will go to the white side. And then there's 2 black wires, which will go to the hot side. And this is not like a push connect one. So I actually, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but I like kind of making a little loop and then sticking it in the screw and screwing in that way, because I know it's not going to come off if I actually make that loop and stick it in the screw. So after everything's connected, I can just get these screws and screw it into the box, and that is pretty much it for that. Super simple, but it's a nice little upgrade there. Now that I have all of these doors installed, and you see, most of you actually did get the thing that I messed up a couple videos ago, right? And you can clearly see that one of those cabinet doors does not look like the rest. So most of you did catch that, which is funny that I didn't catch it, but that's okay. I need you guys to keep me humble. I did end up replacing that one and switching it. But for now, before I catch it, I went ahead and installed the cabinet pulls. These are 6-inch cabinet pulls. I like the really big ones. I feel like anything bigger just looks weird to me, but anything smaller looks too small. So that's why I like to go with the 6-inch ones. I do have these linked on my Amazon storefront. I pretty much have everything from this renovation link there. So if you wanted to check it out, you're more than welcome to do that. So next, we're going to install the shower door. And this was a little bit of a struggle for me, I'm going to be honest. This is a door from Rec Pro. I bought it and I did not custom order this because I didn't want to have to wait 6 to 8 weeks. But it comes in like 4 pieces basically. So that first piece has a little adhesive strip on the back that basically adheres to the wall. And then now I'm putting 2 screws in it, one on the top, one on the bottom. I already know that I have a piece of framing behind that because I made that wall. So I am not worried about it getting into some type of framing to hold it in. Now, here's where some of you may think I'm really smart or really dumb, because this is actually for I want to say it's a 48-inch shower, and my shower is actually, I think it was like 30, I don't know, it was 38 or something. It was some like weird custom size because I made it to a custom size. And I didn't want to have to order a custom shower door because that was expensive and it would have taken too long. So I bought the 48 and I am trimming these top and the bottom rails so I can make it whatever size I want to make it. And it worked out perfectly. So I just trimmed those with my angle grinder, and then there's the other side piece right there with the adhesive. These top and the bottom bars, they kind of have like a V shape and they sit in a little groove on each of these. So if you watch me struggle through this, I'm pretty much trying to make sure that that piece on the left is straight and level, while trying to get this top piece in right here. It did take me quite a bit of struggling. I honestly had no clue how to put this together because there were no instructions, so I kind of just winged it, and it came out fantastic. Also, note to self, if you want to do a custom shower size or shower door like this too, they actually, RecPro does say that you can cut these, which is how I got the idea, but it does void the warranty of it. So keep that in the back of your mind. And then this is the first time that I get to try it out. Yay, it works. So that was pretty exciting. I was trying to figure out how the door worked because it didn't really make sense in my head how it's designed. But once it's actually up there, it made a whole lot more sense on how it worked. So yay. All right, so now I can put the skylight for the shower in, and super simple process here. This is also from RecPro. I actually ordered this along with the exterior dome. So I always replace all of these interior and exterior pieces. So nothing crazy here, just stick it up there and screw it in with some screws. And that is pretty much it for that. These are just square head screws. It's pretty much what I use to put all of these little trim pieces in right here. I do believe that I already wired this, or else I would have included that. So I think I wired this fan already. So I tuck the wires behind this trim piece so the wires aren't like hanging out everywhere. It just looks a lot better when you don't have like wires just everywhere. So definitely tuck any of the wires behind the trim piece if you have any fans or vents with a fan in it. Now this hole in the ceiling right here, this was actually where the antenna went, but I'm not going to put an antenna there. So instead, I'm going to cover it up with a smoke alarm. I'm not putting an antenna back in here because the wire was damaged in the roof, and there was no way for me to repair the cord on the roof side because there was no slack on the roof. And because it's all foam, I couldn't pull any more slack out from the roof. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to put it there. There's nothing really I can do about it. It's not worth taking the whole roof off to fix a saddle or a cable cord. Okay, so moving on, if you guys remember, I made these little side table pieces that go beside the couch, and that is what I'm putting together today. So this is a little hinge that I put on, and you'll see once I actually put it all together why I would have designed it differently. And maybe I will next time if I ever have a slide like this again. But right now I'm just making sure that these hinges are relatively the same space from the edge. And then I can go ahead and install them beside the couch. So after I've got those hinges on, I'm going to go ahead and install them beside the couch here. And I'm going to use nails for this. I think these are maybe 1.5 inch nails with my 18 gauge nailer. And I'm just nailing from that bottom support piece that I built on this little end table right here up into the actual countertop piece itself. So there's lots of ways to attach these. I'll get more into that when I install the kitchen countertops and stuff. But for now, that is pretty much what it looked like. And you see that back piece and the little long skinny piece. I would have made that one whole piece if I would do it differently. But for now, this works perfectly fine. So now that that's in, I can go ahead and install these USB outlet ports right here. I thought these were just a cool little thing to add because, I mean, who doesn't like sit and have their phone while they're on the couch? So I'm just hooking up the wires right here. There is a red wire and I want to say maybe a white wire, maybe a black wire. I don't remember, honestly. But the red goes to the power, which is, on my case, I installed this wire with a white with a black stripe on it. That is my power. And the white one is the ground for this. So the white one would go to, I think it's black on this one. I really think it is black. So pretty much just 12 volt to 12 volt and ground to ground. And I am using wire crimpers for this and not nuts, just because things wiggle and move going down the road. So I like those a lot better than wire nuts. And I did the same thing to the other side. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get these furnace vents back in. I took these out because one, I took everything out, but two, I ended up painting these white. They were like a tan color before and it was kind of ugly. So I spray painted these white. So there's 2 screws on the front, and then on the inside, you actually screw the ductwork, and then you can screw that into the actual furnace vent itself. So moving on to the countertops, there's one final step that I need to do before I can install these, and that is put a little bit of support on the back. So I'm just getting some wood glue. This is just some scrap wood that I ripped down with my table saw. I think it's maybe 3/4 by 3/4, and I am nailing that into the countertop. So this is going to act as a support for my countertop, and it's also going to give me a spot to screw this countertop into the wall itself. Now on the original countertop, this piece of OSB right here, I took this off and I saved it. And that is it's not a support, but it's a piece that the stove can screw into. So there's screws on each side where the stove was, and this was just the original piece that would keep that in. So I kind of just glued and stapled that in as well, and then I can set the countertop in place. Now there's two ways to attach this countertop. One way is to put a screw straight through that piece of 3/4 inch wood into the wall if there's something behind it to hold on to. And that's an okay way. A way that I like better is getting some little L brackets, like I'll show you in just a minute, because you can put the one L part screw into the wall, and then another you can screw up into the countertop, and it kind of pulls the countertop down, and it makes it so it eventually doesn't like curve up or look funny or anything else like that. So it keeps it nice and flat so the wood doesn't ever bow. Anyway, I just like that method a lot better, but do with that information what you will. So after that countertop is secure, I'm going to go ahead and start putting in the faucet and the sink. So the faucet, I'm just kind of putting that, all these pieces together. There's a nut that goes up and holds the actual faucet to the countertop. So I'm just tightening that really good. And there's also 2 screws that you'll need to get a screwdriver and tighten the screws. And that kind of gives it just a little extra tightness. That way that nut doesn't accidentally spin off if you move the faucet one way or the other. And then I'm just putting the sink in, making sure that that fits really well and that there's no cabinets or anything else in the way, which I've already test fit this, so I know there shouldn't be. Next, I can go ahead and put in the drain for the sink. I do have this linked on my Amazon storefront if you want to check it out. The black ones are more expensive than the stainless steel. This is actually stainless steel. It's just black stainless steel. I just really like black, so y'all don't come at me for that because I think it's the best. The drain actually comes with this sink, which is great, and these new drain types, you pretty much put one side in and then you screw the entire bottom piece in, and then usually there's like a nut that you have to tighten with or a bolt you have to tighten with a screwdriver that kind of tightens everything up. So you'll see that once you get that drain and you actually look at it yourself. Most of the ones that I've installed are like that. All right, so next I'm just kind of assessing the plumbing situation. I'm not going to secure this down just yet because I want to be able to get in there still. It's easier to get in where the plumbing is when the sink is not there. So I'm kind of just trying to figure out where my plumbing needs to go, and I will end up taking all of the old plumbing out because it was so far off that I'm just going to redo all of this plumbing, which I kind of had figured I was going to have to do that. But before I dig into that, I'm going to finish my train of thought with these countertops and installing them. This is the one for the bathroom. I'm doing the same thing here that I did with the kitchen one. These are going to give me basically some surface area to mount this and to secure it to the wall. So same thing with some wood glue, just some scraps of wood, and just nailing it in here. Then I can set it in place nicely in this little corner and make sure that everything fits snug, and it does. So I'm just right here making sure that those little pieces are where I want them to be, the support pieces. And this was kind of a pain in the butt, honestly, to screw these things into the wall because it was like all the way up there and it was awkward, and I had to screw it in from, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides right there. So that was a lot, but I did eventually get it. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing and install this faucet. I really like this faucet. I do have that one linked on my Amazon storefront too. This is it's a tall one because I have a vessel sink that I'm going to use. If you're wondering why it looks so big right here, it's because it's made that way. So same process with this sink. There's a little threaded piece that goes up where the water lines are and screws into the actual faucet itself. And if you see, I'm putting that on right there. And then you just screw that in and tighten it. There is a top and a bottom, so pay attention to that. And then there's the little nut that goes underneath through the water lines up there. And then you kind of just tighten that nut up and then get a screwdriver and tighten those two screws. So now I'm going to set in this vessel sink, and it looks fabulous and wonderful, and I love it so much. So I know this is where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and install it. This is just some silicone that I'm putting, and this is pretty much just going to not glue it because it's not glue, but it's going to adhere it to the countertop. So I do put it on the drain side and around the edge, and then just flip it upside down and make sure you get it right in the spot on the first time, because I don't want to slide it around or anything, because then it's going to kind of defeat the purpose of using the silicone as some type of adhesion. And then I'm just cleaning it off with my fingers to make it look nice and pretty. All right, moving on to these little end tables that go in the bedroom. I'm putting some glue on it, and then I'm going to staple these onto the countertop that's already made. Also, I feel like I probably forgot to include this part, but the countertops, I ended up putting 3 coats of polyurethane. I sand it with 220, and then I usually put 2 or maybe 3 more depending on how shiny it looks or how shiny I want it. So just keep that in the back of your brain when you are doing countertops. It does take quite a few coats to make it durable and to make it look nice and shiny. So for this, I'm just making sure that it is centered to where the wall is. So one side butts up against the wall, the other side doesn't. So obviously I want to make sure these are in the right spot. And I needed a few more pieces to be the supports for that are going to go against the wall to hold this in. So that's what I'm doing right here, is just cutting some scrap pieces of wood. And then I will glue those onto the top part right there and staple them in. And that gives me a nice spot to be able to reach in there and screw those directly into the wall. For these, I did not use the the little angle brackets, and that's because the countertop was already stapled into it, so I just screwed these directly into the wall. Okay, I hope y'all are still hanging on for the ride, because I told you we would be hopping around a lot. But right now, I'm going to do these water lines. So this is a faucet for a house, and faucets for houses are not the same fittings as faucets for campers. So houses, this is a 3/8 compression, and for campers, pretty much all of them are 1/2 inch. And so this is an adapter that I just put in there. You just basically get some Teflon tape and screw it the 3/8 compression to the 3/8 compression on the new one, and then the 1/2 inch can go directly into the water fitting. That one does not need Teflon. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these sink drains. I don't need these plumbing lines because I'm going to rebuild it. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, why don't you use an actual power tool for this? It's because whenever I use anything else other than a handsaw, it actually melts the plastic or the PVC, and it doesn't give me a very clean edge for me to put my new fittings on. So that's why I do it by hand, so I don't actually melt the PVC pipe itself. And now skipping along to this part, that's really bothered me ever since I put this trim on. I didn't like that you could see all of the gears in the slide. And so I'm adding this piece of 1/8 or I think it's 1/4 inch plywood basically behind this pine board that I put in. And I have the slide in right now because if you see on the ceiling, there's speakers right there. So I want to make sure I leave enough room for the speakers so I don't hit it every time the slide comes in and out. So I need enough clearance there to be able to hide the gears, but also not hit anything when the slide comes in and out. So I think I got that. And then now I'm going to like do a deep dive here all the way, try to get in the middle of the slide because I want more structure and more screws in the middle of the slide. And then I can bring it back. And then I think I bring it back in just to make sure, and yep, and it clears perfectly. So that made me really happy to have all of those gears, those ugly gears up there covered up, but still accessible if somebody needs to get to them. And now I forgot this one stray trim ring right here, and that's because when I did this before, I actually bought the wrong size trim ring, or they sent me the wrong size. I didn't buy the wrong size. They sent me the wrong one on Amazon and I couldn't put it on. So now that I finally have this one, I'm going to go ahead and put this trim ring on and then install the little side tables right here. It's been a long time coming to get these things in, but they're finally ready to go. And so I'm getting the wires right there because there are outlets right here on each side. And I'm making sure that the wires are fed through in the right little side and that they come out the hole so I can get to them. After that, again, we're going to need some boxes. And if I was smart, I would have done this before, but I just wasn't thinking. So I'm going to make this hole a little bit bigger so the box can fit in there. And I'm using the same style box that I used in the beginning of this video. Same box, same outlet. I don't think I have the boxes linked on my Amazon, but I do have the outlets. But pretty much most of them will work. I think I used the 15 amp outlets. The 20 would probably work too, depending on what breaker it's hooked up to. But you can always use the 15 just to be safe. So just pulling the electrical wires through and doing the same thing that I did before. Stripping these, just being careful not to strip the actual casing of the wire or going too deep when you do it, because obviously you don't want to expose wire that's like hanging out. So yeah, pretty simple installation for this too. Just the same thing as the beginning of the video. Anyway, I hope you guys don't have whiplash from switching around so much, but if you're wondering the reality of RV renovation, this is it. Your brain will have about 70,000 tabs open at one time that you have to just keep going and get into. Anyway, can't wait to see you guys for day 22, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.